Hi, and welcome back to my channel. It's Roxanne here at Make It Just So, and today I'm so excited to share the progress on these costumes. They are coming along just great, and just a quick recap where we left off in the last video is that the fabric choices, the final designs were made. I went ahead and got some of the rhinestones came in, and the fringe, the fabrics. We were just waiting on the lining fabric to get started for the costume for the first fitting. So where we're at now is the girls have had their first, and one of the girls even had a second fitting. And let me go into details about why. So we had talked about how I'm using the Jalie 3910 Jade pattern as my base. And here's a quick shot of that. It looks like this. And made as it comes, it could either go straight across with that little mesh insert, or it's asymmetrical. Well, you know, I was going to change that up, so I did. And what we ended up doing is something that looked more like this. We'll go back to the tabletop view so you could see we want this deep V. And that took, a lot of research, because I didn't want it to end up, I wanted it to be as close to this as possible, suiting the girls with the little tweaks, obviously not copying it exactly, but this is what I ended up doing. I looked at tons of pictures to see that it didn't end up too sweetheart-y, because this has a pretty linear look, and that linear, those lines being so vertical is part of what makes this so appealing and flattering. They're just flattering lines to have on the body. Round lines or horizontal lines can add width, and I just wanted it to be really flattering. So I just printed off a lot of kind of inspiration pictures where it has this deep V and a high halter neck to go with it, and I drew in how I wanted it to look. I didn't want sharp corners, but I also didn't want it to look super curvy. So used a little math. See, girls and guys, this is where your science or your high school and grade school math can come in handy. I used geometry. I actually went and took a protractor to measure the angle that came off of the side, and then used my French curve, and just, you just have to try, and you're either going to get it right, hit the nail on the head, or you're going to learn in the process. So luckily I got it right pretty much from the get-go. So this is let me show you what we're dealing with now. So this is one of the patterns. Oh, the other point I wanted to make about this pattern was that I did take the girls' measurements. That was way back in October when we just started the preliminary beginnings of this. And Jalie has great patterns. I trust their fit. But one thing I learned and was reminded of is that this is competition sizing. So no room for growth in there, no wiggle room. So to be safe, you can size up one. And on one of the girls, she ended up having a growth spurt over break, and she grew. She was taller as she came in the door. So we recut that one. I just went ahead and recut it to a better size, because this needs to get a few months wear out of it for the competition season. So once I did that, as you can see all around here, resized up, I sketched in my cutouts. And let me show you the process I used. I'm really excited about this. I went ahead and made a little miniature mock-up so you can see what I did. I'm going to give you a sneak peek of the progress photo of where we're at right now after the first fitting. This is the costume with no elastic yet around the armholes, but we do have our cutout with the deep V and the bra cups inserted, the side cutouts. We have one layer of fringe, no leg elastic yet on this one, and here's the back. So pretty. These colors all came together. I'm super happy with it. Lined, fully lined. Yeah. So we're ready to move on to the next step. And I wanted to show you how I went about doing this. This was a little bit of a puzzle, figuring out how to do this cutout. So yeah, of the two things I want to show you in this video are how I did the cutout and how to do leg elastic. Just a quick review. So the cutout, I made a miniature. I'm so excited about this. Okay, look, here's the pattern piece, right? This is what it looks like, the front, without any cutouts. So you need to have 3 layers when you do this, because you're going to have mesh. You're going to have a little sandwich. You're going to have one mesh piece that's cut out like this. Then you're going to have two other pieces, which will be one of lining and one of the gold, cut out like this. You're going to sandwich the mesh in between gold on the front, white on the back, and then you're going to trace these lines onto the white lining, okay? And here's what I'm talking about. So here's my miniature. We've got a little sandwich. We've got white lining, then the mesh, then the gold. Once you've done that, you line them up perfectly and do a basting stitch all around the edges. Excuse my nasty nails, I'm getting those redone. And then you trace your little cutout pattern onto the white lining. Then you carefully sew inside the lines with a zigzag, and you cut away the white and the gold fabric to just leave that mesh. Isn't that awesome? So here's how it looks before, then you cut it off carefully, because if you cut that mesh, you have to start from scratch, girl, you're done. So that was so cute. I thought I would share that. The other thing is the elastic. So you have your front and back, and you baste them together with a zigzag stitch, okay? This is without any elastic. Then the pattern tells you what length elastic to cut out. You go by the pattern and the size of the bottoms. You cut your elastic out, you overlap it by 3/8 of an inch and sew it, and then you mark it in quarters. So I've got a little blue mark here, and you mark quarters. So you fold it in half, mark it, there's a little blue mark there, okay? Then you match up those marks and mark it again. So you've got your marks to make it into quarters. You do the same thing with your leg bottom. And I have a suggestion here. I'm going to put this overlapped piece of elastic somewhere out of sight, somewhere in the crotch area, but you don't want to do it right next to that seam, or you're going to have a ton of bulk, because you already have, you know, 3 pieces of fabric there between the crotch, the lining, and the outer fabric, and then to add on a double thick layer of elastic is just too much. So stagger it a little. So I start my first mark here off of that seam, and then you just match up your elastic, match it up, match it up, match it up, all the way over until you find your halfway mark, and you do it again to find your quarter marks, just like we did with the elastic, okay? Then you take your elastic, march up your blue marks, pin it at the quarter marks all the way around. See how you're going to have the elastic is going to be shorter than the fabric, and you're going to, as you sew, you're going to stretch the elastic just till they line up, okay? You're not going to stretch the outer fabric, the spandex. That's going to leave you with a wavy product at the end. You're not going to like it. You only stretch till they meet up, and then you line up the edge. Also, you're going to use a zigzag stitch. I use a 2/5 length by 2/5 width zigzag, and you want to do 1 stitch on the elastic and 1 stitch off. So you're going to zig on, zag off, all the way around. Once you've done that step, it'll look like this, okay? See, you'll see 2 zigzags here, but one is the basting stitch and one is that edge stitch. So you edge stitch your elastic all the way around, okay? See, it's not puckered, it's not wavy, it's just pretty. And when you're all done, the final step is to go ahead and fold it in and do it again. You edge stitch, but this time on this one zag onto the elastic covered in your gold, and then one onto the lining side. And it will look like this. Beautiful, smooth, just puckered enough to pull it in, not wavy, just gorgeous, okay? So super excited to keep going with this dress. The next stages will be to get the fringe on all of it, to make the little gloves. I got the measurements to make the gloves with fringe. Then once the elastic is all dyed, by the way, let me grab it. Let me run off screen. Yeah. For the mesh elastic, you dye the elastic with T. You could just buy it white and then dye it to match. This is 1/4 inch. I'm going to be using 3/8, so it's just an example. But you dye it with T. You just leave it in there long enough to take the color you want to match your mesh. Take it out, rinse, 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 and dry. It dries really quickly, and then you've got your nude color elastic to match your mesh. So once I've got all my elastic in, I can go ahead and sew the neckband on and put my gorgeous Crystal AB stones all over that. So I've got my big ovals, my little ovals, and then I got some teeny tinies that my cat loved. I'm going to be putting those just here and there. I'm going to cover some buttons. That was another little hack I'm doing. I looked up, I priced out some buttons for the back of the neck band, which needed to have 3 little buttons with loops, and it was like, I don't know, something ridiculous for what I needed. Something that was going to be hidden behind the neck, not a centerpiece, was like $3 to $5 a button. That would make $15 in buttons just across the back where it isn't even supposed to be a focal piece. So I'm going to take regular buttons and bling them out with my Crystal AB. And I'll show that how I did that on the next video. So I hope you're enjoying these videos. I just like to share the process, and I have so much fun doing it, and it's so fun to learn along the way, and I just want to share what I'm learning. So join me for the next video. It's going to be more and more exciting as all these pieces come together. It should be coming up soon, and check out my website in the meantime, makeitjustso.com. Subscribe, like the video if you're having fun, and I'll see you next time. Bye!